Welcome to Back Talk. We had a little bit of technical difficulties there, as we do sometimes when we're live. But I want to welcome you to Back Talk, the premier podcast from Successful Black Parenting Magazine, featuring in-depth conversations and expert insights on crucial topics for Black families. We are ranked number one in Black Family Podcasts on FeedSpot, and we're now number one on Million Podcasts as well. I'm your host, Janice Robinson-Celeste. And now Successful Black Parenting Magazine has an interactive community of like-minded Black parents called the Black Parenting Academy, where you can converse and post questions, comments, wins, and concerns in a safe space. And I will be sharing that link later during the show, so watch for it. What happens to a child's self-worth when they never see anyone like them in books they read? And can you imagine what power is unleashed when they finally do? I know some of you can relate out there. Well, we'll talk about it more after this.
This is Back Talk by Successful Black Parenting Magazine, the most listened to podcast for parents by parents.
Hello, Successful Black parents. Thank you for tuning into Back Talk by Successful Black Parenting Magazine, your go-to podcast talk show for parents. We are live, and that means you can post your questions and comments in our Facebook comment section or YouTube live page, and I will address your questions live on air. So don't forget to share our podcast with your friends. Shout it out to your followers, because sharing is truly caring. This is about you, for you. So I need you to join in. And don't forget to use hashtag Backtalk when you post to others. We need your support too. Today in the studio is Sister Khadijah VanBrakle. She is a Black Muslim woman and a contemporary young adult author living in the Southwestern United States. Her 2023 debut novel, Fatima Tate Takes the Cake, and her upcoming release, My Perfect Family, which comes out August 26, 2025, right? Center young Muslim women, girls, because they're young women, but girls navigating adolescence while holding space for identity, faith, and family. So welcome to the show, Khadijah.
Thank you. Thank you, Janice, for having me.
Well, I did my best to introduce you, but you are so like a Renaissance woman, well-rounded. Please introduce yourself and tell everybody, about you.
Okay, so my name is Khadijah VanBrakle. I'm a young adult author, as you said. I wanted to reiterate to people that if you want to tell your story, please use me as an example, because my background, I have an undergraduate degree in accounting and a half-finished MBA. So if you want to write a book, you can, because people tell me, no, I could never do it. If I can do it, anyone can do it.
I love that. It makes you real. And that's right. Like,
exactly.
You got to just do it, right?
Exactly. I mean, if you have to learn the craft of writing, of course, and especially if you want to be traditionally published, that there's a whole nother level of learning. But I think it's really important for us to tell our own stories, especially when you see that there is a huge lack of books that represent us in traditional publishing. At least I can speak for a contemporary young adult. So I definitely want to encourage everyone to tell their own stories.
Yes. Now, you already shared this. I always do an icebreaker in the beginning about something that people don't know about you, but you already did. But do you have anything else that you might want to share that most people don't know about you?
I have never had a taste of coffee. I don't like the way it smells. Wow. I'm sorry.
I know.
I drink gallons and gallons of herbal tea. But I can't with coffee. Sorry.
That's something. Okay. I guess, like I said, everything isn't for everybody, right? So exactly. Yeah, I just never thought about that. Like, okay. There's a time I didn't drink coffee, but then that time is over. So I'm like, oh, okay.
You can have mine.
Okay, thank you. What inspired you to start writing books centered on Black Muslim teens, and what was that moment like for you when you found 0 titles at your library? Because you were talking about that in past interviews, and your publicist told us about that too.
So it was disheartening. I can be very honest. It was when my youngest daughter was a 9th grader in 2017, and she came home from high school, and she said, "Mommy, I almost got in a fight." And I said, Okay, Miss Gifted, what happened? She said that somebody told her at high school that you can't be Black and Muslim at the same time.
I'm so confused by that. Growing up in West Philadelphia?
Well,
What?
this is not Philadelphia. So we ended up at the library and we spoke to some librarians and they helped us. And back then, there wasn't one. We could not find one
I
contemporary young
see.
adult book that the protagonist was a Black American Muslim. So I was like, oh no, we got to do something. So that's when I was like, okay, it's time to write the stories that I want to write.
So do you think that, like, especially in your area, that people just automatically have a visual of Muslim people as being from the Middle East? Is that what it is?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. All
Or
right.
from no, it's not, maybe not from the Middle East, but from somewhere else. Because
Anywhere else but Black.
exactly. If
Okay.
if I could get $1 for every time somebody comes up to me and speaks really slowly and says, "What country are you from?" And then I say, "Originally," and they're like, "Yes." And I'm like, "Canada?" And then I say, "But both of my parents were born in Boston." And they're like, "Oh, and you speak English really well." "Yeah, I do, don't I?" "Yeah, this Black woman speaks English very well."
I was like, they speak English in Canada, right? Most of it. Even if they speak French.
Mais je parle français aussi.
They say perfect French too. Look at that. Yes. You should say it in French. And they'll be
I
like,
know.
I'm always amazed by people's ignorance. Like, they just don't know. And that just calls for more education. We need more money for education here in the United States. It's so embarrassing.
Agreed.
Oh my gosh. Well, many Black Muslim parents are raising kids who experience both racial and religious bias. How do your books help young readers navigate that dual marginalization? Like,
So for me, I strive to write books that have universal themes. Of course, they feature Black American Muslim teens, but I want them to deal with issues that any teen can face, because I want people to understand
yeah,
that we exist and that we're not othered, and because I think too much of the dialogue at this present time in our country excludes Black people. And so, if it excludes Black people, that Black American Muslims, we're nowhere in the conversation.
mm-hmm.
Like we're not even thought about. So I really strive to write universal themes. So like coming of age novels, because every teenager goes through it.
Yeah, very relatable.
Mm-hmm.
And I was about to ask you the question, maybe you can go into it a little more, but I want to talk about that representation and why it's so critical for Black Muslim teens to see themselves on the page as a main character and not just a side character.
Exactly. Because I think that we want all teenagers to be seen. And because the teenage years that I experienced, that a lot of people experience, that are going on right now, is totally different. I mean, with the social media and phones and school shootings and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, I want teens to see themselves and understand we see you, and, we're trying to tell your stories. And I want my writing to encourage others to tell their own stories, especially because if you find that there's a story that isn't told, I want you to feel empowered to write it. I mean, it's not easy, and you still have to do some learning and some schooling, but I really want my books to serve as a gateway to see that it is possible.
Right. I would love to see more teens and young people writing books and getting them published. And I would love to help with that somehow. I'm not sure how right now. I'm really busy, but I would love to see more of that. What are some of the biggest misconceptions you've seen about Muslim teens in mainstream media or publishing?
I think they're invisible. Like when you talk about Muslims, I mean, you don't talk about teens, and they're going to high school, they're going to college, they deal with the same coming of age issues. The your parents want you to go in one way in life. You want to go in a different way. You're dealing with all the same, challenges, like, going to school and, what are I going to do with my life? And, and even the bad things that, like, they can be, take steps to the bad things. And you have to just be like, okay, so you have to talk to them and let them understand how to navigate the world. I mean, my son, who's 14, he doesn't go to a Muslim school. We don't have a Muslim high school in where I live. So, we have to have difficult conversations, because who else is going to have that if his parents don't have those with him?
Right. What are some of those difficult conversations? Can you share with us?
Well, just anything that, a 14-year-old boy is going to ask. And we've had to have conversations about virginity, and we have conversations about consent. Like, I don't understand why you think that these kind of conversations don't include Muslim children. I mean, I'm trying to teach my son consent. I'm trying to teach him how to be a productive member of society and to also have critical thinking skills.
Mm-hmm. I agree, 100%. But when the world has these misconceptions, is it our job to even correct that? I mean, should we correct there, and how can we, if so?
Well, so I think it's it's not a one-time thing. I think
Mhm.
as they come up, or as I don't watch the news since November. I haven't watched the news on
I
a
can't
consistent basis.
blame
I
you.
can't. So, but when he has questions, I have to be able to. We have to have a discussion. And so I want my books to serve as, maybe there's a way that a mom or a dad or both of them together can have a conversation with their teens based on something in one of my books.
Right. So, for parents out there, especially Black Muslim parents listening, how can they find or even advocate for more authentic books in local libraries or their schools? Especially during time we're getting this book ban thing.
Exactly. So I think the best way is to take the books out. So if you have the means, you can buy a copy. I'm upset. And my books are in all formats, whether audio or or just regular hardcover. Now, Fatima Tate, my debut, is in paperback as well, and that's a little more price conscious. But you can request it at your local library.
Right.
Yeah, so through the apps like Libby and Hoopla, like all the things, and I
Right.
think just showing publishers that these type of stories resonate with a large number of people, then that helps. So they're like, oh, well, this book was, because publishing is a business, and I don't fault it for that. It's just an uphill battle when you're not represented very much, but with my dual marginalization. So like, it's just a business. So like, if you want to support books like mine so that we can have other future books, and I really, really want to encourage young people to tell their stories, because I think it's so important.
We're going to get back to that, but I want
Okay.
to um, I want you to tell people who your books are for, because we
Okay.
talked about that a bit
Exactly.
earlier.
So my books feature Black American Muslim teens. Fatima Tate is 17. She's a high school senior. And then in my upcoming novel, My Perfect Family, Lena is a 16-year-old high school sophomore. So my books are about Black American Muslims, but they're for everyone. Because like I said, like I will say this until I'm blue in the face, that I feature universal themes because they're coming of age novels. So, and I, even though I'm the author and people could say I'm biased, I've had feedback from other students, from librarians, from adult readers, and they're like, wow, I can really identify with some of the things that your main characters go through. And that's like the highest compliment to me, because that's what I wanted to do.
Yes. Now, let's talk about support in the Muslim community. Can you tell us about that?
Well, okay. So the difficult subject matters that I discuss are not readily talked about in every single Muslim household. I can't say because I've not been in every single Muslim household in the United States, but I do know quite a few people in my community. So I know the teens read it. I don't necessarily know if their parents read it, which is fine. But I want the teens to have an outlet. I want all teens to have an outlet. I want them to be like, see themselves in a book, or see somebody going through something in the book. And even if they're different from themselves, they just like, oh, I can totally understand. And I've felt that way before. So I think that the young people in my community have been very supportive, and they have been very complimentary. And I appreciate that so much. My book's not for everybody. If you don't like to deal with reality, and if you want to whitewash or cover up the same societal ills that are in the Muslim community, that are in the broader United States communities, society, my books are definitely not for you.
Right. No, okay. It's not for everybody. That's how I always say everything's not for everybody. Just keep moving. Keep
Exactly.
moving, right? Um, Tell me about the first book. I want to know just what it's about, and what people will get out of it.
So, Fatima's journey is she's a high school senior. She knows what she wants to do with her life. She wants to be a pastry chef. Unfortunately, especially her mother. Her father, sometimes is supportive, but her mother does not agree. And her mother's plan is for her to marry a wealthy young man from a Muslim family.
Mm.
And there's a Great British Bake Off competition in the book for high school students that she, of course, enters on the sly. And so it's just her journey through that because, the love interest is there. And I like to call Raheem the Pied Piper of parents because everybody loves him when he turns on the charm until he does, until they don't.
Okay. Yeah. We all know
So,
someone like that. Yeah.
exactly. So I guess in My Perfect Family, this was my ode and my reimagining of the Gilmore Girls television series, but within a fractured Black American Muslim family. So Lena has always been raised by a single mom. And it's been her ardent wish her whole life to have a huge family, like to come to graduations and for the holidays. And she's never had that. So when by end of chapter 2, she a family secret is revealed, and she finds out that not only does she have family an hour away from her in Santa Fe, New Mexico, that they're Muslim. So her grandfather and great aunt are Muslim, but she's never known them at all, and they've never met. So that starts changing. So I like to tell teens and other interested parties, sometimes getting what you want threatens what you already have.
Interesting. Interesting. And what about the upcoming book? What do we need to know?
That's My Perfect
Oh,
Family.
that's the perfect
Yeah.
family. Okay, I thought
Yeah.
that was still random. Okay, I lost you there.
No.
Sorry, my fault.
No worries.
No, that's great. So that's what's coming up. And the thing I like about your books is that it's published by a big publishing company, which gets it out into the mainstream media. Now, to tell people why that's important, because it is important too.
I think for me, visibility is the most, because there are a lot of books traditionally published. And if librarians or students don't even know your book exists, then it can just wither away. So I think, and also too, I think I'm a business-minded person. So I think I really wanted, traditional publishing is a lot of work. I mean, self-publishing is a lot of work. So I definitely, because I cannot draw one. So I did not do the covers. I didn't have a hand in that. And the publisher takes care of that. Also, like you said, getting the word out. And, I'm just so blessed because Holiday House was so supportive. They were very open when I asked them, can you nominate Fatima Tate Takes a Cake for an NAACP Image Award? And they were like, yes, we're going to do it. And I was very, pleasantly surprised when it was a finalist for an award. But it's just, I think that when you find people that believe in the stories that you write, because my editor, she gets it. She understands what I'm trying to say. And like her critique or her editorial notes are on point.
Good. That's great when you can mesh with someone like that and get your work done and get your message across. What practical advice would you give to parents who kids want to write their own stories, or because teens usually feel unseen, especially for teens who maybe feel unseen in today's media. So what advice would you give to parents for that?
I would encourage them to learn the craft of writing. I thought because I'm an extrovert that I can talk to almost anyone, that I can write a book. No. That's not the way that it works. So actually on my website, which is just my name, KhadijahVanBrakle.com, I have a few free resources, like craft books that I use to learn the craft of writing. And I think it's really important because these days, it's really difficult because, you want your book, your stories to be relatable, but you also don't want to stay true to your story. So I think that it's a skill that everyone has to learn if they want to, be a published author.
I agree. And sometimes you have to do that anyway, just to keep up for us as an adult, to keep up on my writing skills. I have to go out and look for external resources
Mhm.
just to stay sharp. So, kids often think, oh, I have English in school. I had a great English teacher in school, by the way. If it wasn't for her, I don't think I would have even thought of writing. But I too, I'm a writer, so I tend to polish my skill, my craft. And I think that's awesome that you have that as a resource on your website, so that teens can go there and learn from you. That's fantastic.
Anyone. I mean, and I think, you're a prime example. It's not just authors. Like, you're here doing this podcast, Successful Black
Mhm.
Parenting Magazine. Like, it's amazing. So I think that they need to understand, yes, it is work. But there are people out here that will help you, that will lead you in the right direction, because there's a lot of, scammy people out here who want to just say, oh, pay me this money. No, 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 no,
Right,
no, no. Nope.
right. And I encourage people to try to make sure your book looks as professional as possible, because that says a lot, and it also helps with your marketing. Um, can you tell us about any pushback you've received, either from the publishing world or from communities? What kind of pushback have you received for your books?
So, when my literary agent, Christina, put Fatima Tate on submission, which is she sends it out to publishing houses to see if they want to purchase the rights to release it. Some people didn't get it. There was one editor in particular that she didn't get it, and she had a huge issue with the subject matter and this. And I'm like, that's fine. That's not for you. It's okay. Um, I think that other people within my faith community or outside of my faith community were kind of surprised, especially in my first book, some of the subject matter that I dealt with, because Fatima Tate's best friend Zainab has a girlfriend and she's Muslim. And so there's a couple of 1 stars on Goodreads, which I have not read because I don't read reviews. My children have told me, but that's okay, because it's not for you. And, they question my faith, and that's okay. Because just don't pick up the book. It's fine.
Mhm.
But I think the thing is that I want to be true to myself, and I want to be true to the story. And I really feel that teens deserve that. They
Yeah.
deserve, and as somebody who's, has a dual marginalization, how am I going to be anti anything and LGBTQ? Like, how? That doesn't, it makes no sense to me.
I appreciate that, because people are so judgy. We talked about that before the show. I
Exactly.
don't like judgy people. You judge yourself. That's how I think. Judge yourself, really, before you come for somebody else. Uh, you navigate. It seems like you navigate this, I guess, controversy or anything that people don't like about your authentic self by saying it's not for you, right? Is that how you manage it? Or is, for me, I'm like, my go-to saying is it is what it is. And I move on. So, and that's how I navigate stress, and people are like, you know what? Like, it is what it is. But is that how you manage or and deal with this, or do you have other ways of dealing with all of this, I guess, pressure and comments and nastiness?
Right. So one, I use the block button. I will block you in a minute.
Block, blocky,
Block.
block, block, block.
Blockity block. And another thing is that, especially before the first book, Fatima Tate, came out, I was still I have 3 black belts. So I would go to the dojo.
Don't mess with you. Okay.
Now I haven't been to the dojo because it's been a little crazy with writing and other things, but I do take twice a week dance class, and that like you forget everything and you're there. And and I also realize, and people need to realize, that my whole life is not writing.
Yeah.
I'm a mom. I have a family. I have just regular things to do, grocery shopping, all the things.
I love it.
Getting your car worked on, home repairs, whatever, it may be. So, I'm just not, like, I don't think that being an author is like my entire personality.
Right. What do you want to see for your books? Like, I guess, what's next, like, in your mind, that where your books can go? What do you want to see? What's your dream?
Ooh, okay. Well, I I ask God when I pray. I ask for a lot. So but I'm very happy. So you want to aspire to a certain thing. So for me, it's about visibility. So what will give me the most visibility so I could reach the most teenagers and readers? So for example, does that mean that it has to hit the New York Times? Does that mean that it has to be made into a film? Netflix, you're around, you're close to me, just saying. But I think for me is the more that, the more, however that happens is what will make me happy. I can't necessarily say one, route versus the other, but I really just want my book out there. And I want anybody that maybe could be helped by it, by either one of my books, to be, for that to be able to reach them.
Good. That's great, Dream. And I could see the books being made into some sort of show. And I need these broadcasters and channels to pay attention to our Black stories. I've been holding on to ideas and stories for not books necessarily. I have those too, but for TV shows, because just to the process to submit them for making into a movie or animated series, even. Is precarious, because they will take your ideas if they don't need you to do it. And I've had that experience more than one time before. So, and I know other people who have, and they'll justify it, say, they always justify it the same way. More than one person can have the same idea at the same time. So you gotta be careful out there with that. They actually threatened me, even though I had all kind of proof, and told me one time in one case where we went to mediation that they would leave me bankrupt and homeless by keeping it in court for so long. And so my lawyer gave up. But so I'm very cautious about those things. But, I wish that more channels would embrace us and want to run with us instead of taking from us, or whatever has happened in the past with other people as well. I want to see us on the channel. I always say TV, but everybody's looking at it on computers now and on their phones looking at shows. I would like to see more of that. And I wish you the best for that, because I think these stories need to be told, and it's really important. So
exactly. And I can see a collaboration, you and me together. Let's do it.
Let's do it. If I get some information or insiders where they're like, oh, we want to work with you for TV shows, I was like, you know what? I got some ideas, but I got some other people got ideas. I'm going to bring everybody in, okay? So whoever's out there, Netflix, Disney, ABC, I don't care who you are. If you want to work with us, I'm putting it out there. Work with us. Come contact me. I'm going to make sure I bring all the people in, okay? All the good stuff. You're going to win with us. You can't lose with us. You're going to win. Anyway, let me go on. That's a whole nother tangent I can get into. Are there new stories or characters on the horizon that we should look out for that you'll be writing about?
None that I can talk about yet.
Okay.
So my agent has something and she's doing her thing. And I have 1, 2, 3 things that are, I have the first YA that I ever wrote that didn't get me an agent is like 81,000 words of I need to be revised on my laptop. So I might be working on that. There's definitely a new genre that I'm looking at, and I probably have 4 chapters, in because I am so inspired by the authors like Kennedy Ryan and Tia Williams. That I'm like, yeah, I might have to dip my toe into adult.
Okay. For the parents who are aspiring writers, we know that they should check out resources. You have resources on your webpage, as you said earlier. But how do they find the time? How do you find the time to pen that many words? What do you do?
Okay. See this? It's my planner.
Oh, I love it.
So what I do is, so it depends if you have a deadline, whether it's self-imposed or imposed by maybe somebody else, but has to be in chair, period. You have to schedule yourself. I schedule when I'm drafting because I don't like that part of the process. I love to revise. I don't like to draft. You have to schedule, even if it's like today I'm writing 2 chapters. And the next day I'm writing 2 chapters, and then schedule yourself out for 2 weeks. Schedule a day off because maybe you have a lot of things to do. Maybe your house is going, to pot and you need to clean it. And maybe you want to, do some cooking or whatever. You have kids to take. Schedule times. If you have to do it an hour at a time, that's what you do. For me, what helps me put butt in chair and get to work is I have a playlist for every single book that I write. And when I turn that playlist on, that signals to my brain that it's time to work. I turn my ringer on my phone off. Yeah, okay. If I have to lock my office door, that's what I have to do. But you also know your own schedule. I'm not that person who says you have to write every day. You have to write this amount. Mm-hmm. You know what works for you. Also, one of the best things I did, because I heard this from someone else, is I went to the library and I said, this is a genre I want to write in. Can you suggest books that I can read that are like within the last 3 years? So you have to know what's out there. You have to know what's being published. If you're looking at traditional publishing, you have to know what is being published. And maybe then you'll see that what you want to do, there's a hole and there's not something there. But even if there is, that will help you, because a lot of publishing professionals, whether agents or editors, they want to know, do you know the book that you wrote, where would it sit in a bookstore shelf? Would it be, would it be in between, is it more the Kennedy Ryans? Is it more the Tia Williams? Young adult, where is that? For any book that you want to write, picture books up to YA into adult, you need to know the publishing landscape that you're trying to get into.
That's great advice. I really love the playlist idea. Mm-hmm. That's fantastic. And
you don't have to share a playlist with anybody. It's for you. If you want to. I don't.
I never even thought about that. That's fantastic. And like you said, you're training your brain. So that's motivation. Well, finally, how can our audience follow your journey and support your work?
Well, if you want to follow me, I'm just my name, Khadijah VanBrakle on Instagram, which is also on Threads. And I think on Facebook as well is Khadijah VanBrakle, because my mom is on Facebook and that's the only social media. So that's why I'm also on Facebook. My website, like I said before, is khadijahvanbrakle.com. And if you would like to support me, I appreciate it. My books are available wherever books are sold, but shout out to bookshop.org if you want to support local indies in your own area. We want them all to thrive and not to close.
Yeah. All right. So you guys, you heard that. So go support Khadijah, buy her books. Is it available for pre-order anywhere on your website?
It's actually, yes. It's wherever books are sold. So it is available. My Perfect Family is available for pre-order. And the Fatima Tate paperback it came out July 22nd. So it's available. Yes. So definitely.
Awesome. We got to add that to our library. So I want to thank you for coming on the show. It's been a pleasure speaking with you.
You too, as well. Thank you so much for inviting me. And thanks for everybody who's listening. Even if it's not live, I appreciate you.
Yes, absolutely. And a big shout out to all of you watching the replay of this episode of Back Talk by Successful Black Parenting. Be sure you follow us on social media. Click on everything, follows, likes, ads. Even if you're not buying anything, click on those ads because those clicks matter. And until next time, I wish you all the best and much success. Take care, and thanks for listening, everyone.
Thanks for tuning in to Back Talk by Successful Black Parenting Magazine. We'll see you soon.